So when I start on my track, when I start doing the track,
yeah,
the first thing I usually do before I do anything is I just kind of figure out a good kick drum I'm going to use, import audio. I go to my sample library,
okay,
and I just find a good kick drum. And in this case, I have one sitting here, DA kick. I copy it in, boom, there it goes, and I immediately know everything I do is 4/4, 4 on the floor. So I go to quarter notes, right?
Quarter note grid, right?
Quarter
so you're
note grid,
setting that up.
Quarter note grid. I put my kick drum there, and that's the first thing I do. Basically, I just make a bar, and here we go. We're off to the races, right?
Right. Okay.
There's 8 bars, and I usually just consolidate that quickly. There's our kick drum, right? And usually we got to put it on the right bus here.
You could do a drum machine, whatever, but you just like that sample.
I find kicks that I like,
right,
and I stick with them for as long as I can.
Okay.
Because it's the most important part of the song for what I do.
Right.
And if you don't have a good kick drum, you're pretty screwed.
Find a good kick drum. Step 1. Okay.
Yeah. If you don't have a good kick drum, you're in trouble.
All right. So you're gonna work with some audio now, maybe, or are you gonna do some claps? What do you got next?
So I got my kick in there, and then let's just get rid of that. There's our kick. And I got a nice plugin on there, the Maserati plugin. Tony, who's big mixer. I like to use that plugin on my kick drum. People like to know what I put on my kick drum, but great plugin for kick drums, guys.
Cool.
Next thing I'll do is I'll just get the drums going, and I might pull up, my favorite synth.
Could we call this I promised everybody we were going to say your signature, your secret weapon?
It's not it's not a secret because it's probably one of the more popular synth instruments people use. It's definitely not a secret. It's definitely not my secret, but it might be a secret how much I use it. I use it for everything. And this...
So I want to call it. Can I call it the secret weapon?
You can.
Dave Audé secret
You can.
Okay.
But it's not a secret now. You just gave it away to everybody.
Okay.
But the great thing about this, the synth, and I'm not pushing it or anything, but I think it's dope for one main reason. It has 1 million sounds, and they all sound pretty great.
And let's face it, it's focused for electronic dance music.
It is.
Synth-heavy stuff, right?
I can work really fast, get things going, and then if I want to go back and replace some of the sounds or tweak some of the sounds, I can do that. But this instrument, this synth, lets me just work right now, super quick, super fast, and get things down.
Okay.
Because that's the most important thing when you're being creative is to get things down on tape.
Sure.
On tape or on Pro Tools.
What's tape?
Quick. Dave? Tape, Pro Tools, same thing. Same thing. Pro Tools is the new tape.
Me for 12-inch singles.
It's the new tape. Pro Tools is the new tape.
All right.
So
we're gonna drop that and record.
I'm gonna drop. I'm a '90s guy.
Okay.
I'm really an '80s guy, but today we'll be a '90s guy.
All right.
Okay. And so I just find this nice '90s clap. There we go. There's the '90s clap.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just go into record here.
So this is a MIDI track.
Pretty boring. That's
it.
That's it. There it is. And make sure we're quantized over here.
Right.
We actually turn on our real-time properties. We're already quantized. Great.
Now I notice you have velocity selected too. Tell us what does that mean?
Velocity, for me, I don't have a lot of dynamics and stuff for what I do. Okay. I'm just usually cranking out.
So you want it flatlined pretty much.
Yeah, for the most part. And rather than sit there, years ago, you'd have to go in here and go to velocity, right?
Right.
And you'd have to take your pencil and draw in your velocity and stuff. But today, we don't have to do that. We just crank everything to 127 if you don't want to have any kind of dynamics.
Got it.
Right?
And there's your yeah.
I don't even care about dynamics anyways. You know why? Because once I get it into audio, then I can change the dynamics there.
Now,
so for me, velocity is meaningless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially with drums.
Yeah.
Because you're going to change things later.
Now, I see a couple notes that look a little off. Now, you might
so those are off, so I can just grab it here quickly and just just copy over here.
Boom.
Let's see, that might be off even more. It's this solo.
That works for me.
That's good. And then, man, I'm not used to this. There we go.
Beautiful.
Right. And then
now,
maybe put that one there.
You tend to, with MIDI and Nexus, you like to print things as audio once you sort of settle in on the part, right?
I do. I'm a big fan of everything should be audio all the time.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. Yeah, cool. So we can just record that in.
Okay.
And look, the greatest thing about brand new Pro Tools 11 is once you find something you like, whether it's audio or MIDI, you can just immediately do the export thing, or actually do the bounce.
So you offline.
Offline bounce, and you got to make sure offline's clicked. And you always import. And we're just going to go clap, and make sure your bit rates, it's all good. Make sure your bus output is correct. In this case, it's 1314. And we're soloed, and we're going to go, bam, look at this.
I'm going to even show you a shortcut for that.
Yeah, you know some shortcuts. I'm not a big shortcut guy. I gotta watch more videos. Okay, but there it is. It's already in there, and now I'm done with that clap, and I can make that inactive.
And hide it if you want it.
And hide it, because I don't want to see that. What do I want to see that for? It's over there if I want to bring it back up.
Now you can manipulate it as audio. You could reverse it, which there's really no way to reverse MIDI, right? I mean...
No way to reverse MIDI. No.
Not that we know of in this
Not that
universe.
we know of. So that's things like that. Not that I'm doing reversing a lot, but I just have found that I'm able to work with audio a lot quicker and easier than I am MIDI. MIDI, you know, MIDI was designed in 1981.
Yeah, yeah.
Audio came around in like late 80s,
I'm with
right?
you.
So you're with me.
Zoom out just for a second and show everybody the real track. This is sort of over here. And you really, what's nice about having it all as audio pieces is you can see what you're muting and what you're essentially what you're choosing, the outline.
Yeah, look at the
arrangement, right?
There's some MIDI right there, for instance, okay? And you know, if I wanted to do something with that, it's just a little more difficult because you might not get the MIDI note, or you might, you know, maybe the notes aren't 16ths, or it might be the 8 notes. You know, audio, you grab something and you move it, it's moving.
And these are muted parts here. So so literally you can physically see, in this verse 2, I muted Chicago
Mute
part.
that bass, put it back in. It's so easy. And guess what another great feature about having audio is? On the channel.
Clip gain.
Clip gain. I can turn that audio up and down. That was probably the biggest thing. Is it 10? Came around in 10.
That's right.
To me, that was the biggest feature of 10. When I got 10 and that clip gain, that's really a film guy thing. Film guys love that clip gain because they're doing little edits and stuff. But man, for me, it's like turn it down right now. Bam. I don't have to go over to the channel. I don't have to automate it.
Right.
It's like I can just go turn it down right now. Or turn it up right now.
Exactly.
It's just like that.
On a verse or chorus or...
That on the bounce and the new offline bounce is the two that's just basically made Pro Tools perfect.
Cool. That's great. All right, let's go back to that beginning part where you're building. And you showed me sort of an interesting technique on building a bass line, right?
You know, I did, and for this song, I knew that there's this old song that I sampled. I don't like to talk about sampling, but let's just do it because it's a reality. People like to sample. I love to sample records. That's where I came from. Except when I started sampling, I was actually taking a piece of vinyl and putting on the turntable.
What's vinyl?
Exactly, 12-inch, and I would actually recording the record in. You know, kind of like. You know, and somebody that I kind of inspired me, like as sampling, is guys like, you know, well, Daft Punk are huge samplers. Norman Cook, Fatboy Slim, is a huge sampler guy. But finding old records, and I think if you take things and sort of make them your own, sampling isn't a big deal.
No, and I think too, you're not taking the 7-note thing that's a melody.
No. I'm taking
you're sampling a sound.
Maybe a sound, one note, or a drum snare, a kick or a snare, or little tiny things, and then you take 1,000 of those and make your new song. I don't think it's a big deal.
Right.
So in this case, you know, there's an old record that I loved, and this is like from an old house record, and we're gonna put them in there. Boom, boom, boom.
So you bring them in specifically as 2 new tracks.
Yep.
They're mono sounds, and
why are there 2? I'll tell you why.
Okay.
They're both in different keys.
Okay.
So watch. There's one.
Okay. Do we need to change the outputs on those for people to hear?
We do. No, they could probably hear it now, but we're going to change it anyways, just for fun, because they're going to end up right there.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, so basically, and I know because I already worked on this a little earlier where these should be, but let's just show you what I want them to do right now.
Okay.
And we're going to take us out here.
So you're going to take these notes and as audio, place them on what grid? 16th?
Yeah. So there's my 16th grid. I just turn my grid to 16th.
Right.
And and let's listen to the song. Let's listen to the song for a second here, actually. That's kind of my pattern I got going on right now. And I could do this with a piano, but this is like kind of a weird thing. I'm doing it with audio. So I'm showing you, if you have a good ear, you don't necessarily have to be a super trained pianist to do something. Right. Which I can play piano and all that stuff. But in this case, I just took this cool sample, and I know that, here we go. I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Do, 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 do. Then up here. Do, do. This is 2 notes, which it makes it an easy part. Okay. But these are in the wrong key of the song. Hold on. Let's just see what we've got here.
Okay.
But it's in the wrong key of the song. So I need to move those up. So I'm going to put these in elastic audio.
Okay. You're basically enabling
the elastic audio on the channel, which is right there. Mm-hmm. And there it goes.
Just takes a second to sort of analyze what you've got there. And now you can tell the pitch.
Nothing's changed yet.
Right.
But let's just solo one of them here. Down, down, down. So I want that top note to be. Okay, so I'm going to pull up here elastic properties, a little window here. And that's showing me right now everything's just normal. And I'm going to tell it I want all those to go up. I think it's 5 notes. Let's just listen. Yeah, that. And this one down here.
A fourth?
We're going to go 4 notes, which is actually 2 steps.
Okay, 2 steps.
Let's just hear those together. Let's just see what that sounds like here. Yeah, that's correct.
Cool.
So using elastic audio, you can change the pitch of things over here. So again, using that same window, this is actually, I just moved it up 5 semitones, and it can be any semitones. You can go plus.
A couple octaves, I think, right?
A couple octaves, and you can actually tune it. If it's out of tune, you can tune it here. Fine tune it. You can actually change the tempo. 125, I can actually make it longer, or I can actually just take my tool here, right? And I can actually just make this longer here, make it shorter here. So easy to use elastic audio in Pro Tools.
Right.
So if you wanted to just bounce that out, you could just do it really quick right here, right? Hold on, I just lost everything. Yeah, if you wanted to bounce out, you can also just right-click and do a bounce right there, and your bounce screen comes up, right?
Right.
So it's already got it.
Just that bus outputs.
I'm going to get rid of that right now. We already bounced it. There it is. There it is.
Right. And
we're rocking.
Now, every great dance remix has a cool sort of piano keyboard sound. What do you got cooking for that?
Well, this one, again, I'm keeping with this sort of Chicago house feel. Some of my favorite music is the Chicago house stuff. So for this one, I'm using this one of my favorite new synths called Diva.
Wow, it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful, big, red. It's got some wood on the side.
Yes, definitely the wood panels.
The wood and the little shading of the wood is the important part, to make you feel like it's really there. But this one, I just picked up this cool sound. Let's play that. It's very, very inner city, which I love. One of my favorite groups ever. And so we're going to play this. I found this cool sound. We're going to play this in.
Again, this will go in as MIDI first, and you've already sort of set up your quantize and your...
Yeah, this could be anything because we don't... A lot of these, like I told you, I don't really use a lot of dynamics when I'm doing MIDI stuff.
Right.
If I was playing in if I was doing like a live string thing for a big lush orchestral thing, I'd use dynamics. But for me, for dance music, what I do, dynamics are kind of out the window.
And it's real time, so you can turn it off at any time if you want it to.
It's not there forever. So we're going to play this part in here. Here we go. So there it is, man. I missed a couple notes there. We can go in there and just fix those pretty easy though. Just basically grab your thing there, move them over, right? Look how easy that was.
Right, right.
First 3 notes, it just took me a minute to kind of get into it. I kind of hit everything else. Usually what I do, because I'm just kind of a weird organization guy, is I'll bring up my quantize here. I know I'm going to be quantized to 16ths, and I'll just hit apply, and that'll just flatten it out if I want to.
So as opposed to the real time, you can literally physically move the notes.
I could turn quantize off now, and because I've already I just quantized it with that.
Yeah. Now, how often do you use playlists to maybe try a different version of the piano part, for instance?
Yeah, I use it all the time. So I can keep that playlist, go new playlist here, and then I can just try something else.
Right.
A little busier, you know. I gotta put the quantize on here. It's already set to 16s. Turn my velocity up.
And let's say you want to switch back to say another version. There it is.
There it is.
So it's all about organization, using the playlist, using the color coding. Seriously, though, right?
It is.
It's what you do. How many different tracks could you be working on in a day?
In a day, well, usually like 3 or 4. So it's important that, you know, you don't want to have to remember what did I do. If you just kind of stay organized, you won't have to think about it.
Right.
My memory's already going. So I have to make sure you know, my eyes and my memory are going, so I have to make sure I do the same thing and color code and stay organized.
All right.
And I love having things in audio. I don't like keeping things MIDI. I was working with a guy this morning, and he had all this stuff in MIDI, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. He was using Pro Tools too, and he's got everything MIDI, and it was just sounded great. But that's just kind of how he works.
Right.
Me?
Well, I already see on the Chicago part that you printed, you actually muted a couple notes in that one spot.
So check this out. Here it is after I recorded it in. And I had this little section here before. A little stutter, but I decided I didn't want that. So look I just muted it.
Right. And I like that it's visually there, that you can sort of confirm that that's what you did.
It's just, you know what? But audio is so easy to use right now these days with just how everything works. I can just easily copy notes here if I want. If I want, you know.
Right. Without having to go back to the MIDI part and play it or tweak it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, to me, and then if I want to go like this and then reverse things, I can go up here to reverse really quick.
Right.
And find reverse, and there it is, and boom. You know, and now it's reversed.
Right.
It's just, you know, for me, audio is just the way to go.